Hi everyone, and welcome back to my ongoing Disney by Alphabet series, where I slowly make my way through the alphabet by making portraits of Disney characters whose name begins with each letter. Last time I did Gurgi from The Black Cauldron and Figaro from Pinocchio, so I figured it was only fair to tackle a human character for the letter H. Well, I use the term human loosely. Now, I don't know about you guys, but with H as the prompt, one of the first characters that immediately comes to mind is Hercules in Hades. Now, I could have gone for the hero, but I kind of like the challenge Hades' design presented with his head of fire hair and stylistic appearance. So I dived in DesignDoll to create my anatomy and pose reference for him. I figured it was worth remodeling my standard male model to closer emulate Hades' features to give me a rough base to work with. Given what I did with Cruella for the letter C though, I wasn't going to lean too far into the exaggerated style and proportions from his original design. Instead, I was going to turn the dial up on the strength of my style on this one, which kinda has an unexpected result. He kinda looks, well, you'll see eventually. It kinda took a bit of tinkering to get a pose I was happy with. The idea that immediately came to mind as soon as I knew I was going to do a portrait of Hades was to have him interacting with fire in some way, giving me the opportunity to play with painting fire a bit more. At first I thought about having him looking at the viewer like he couldn't give a damn. Ha! Damn. Get it? Because the souls in the Underworld that he rules over are damned? Anyway, that was the original idea, but the pose just wasn't working for me in the ratio of the canvas I was going to use, so I did a little more reworking and ultimately landed on this concept. I thought it would be a fun idea if I had him acting out a variant of that moment he blows his finger like a smoking gun after he blasts the souls that try to grab him from his boat. But instead of blowing out his fire, it's almost like he's fanning the flames with a kind of lazy smugness, like it's no big deal. Which, of course, it wouldn't be to him. So actually diving into sketching Hades in my style, I kept as loyal to his features as I could while keeping them relatively more realistic. So the pointed ears are more elf-like, his cheekbones could still cut glass, had his eyebrows burned off, and is a regular nail salon visitor to maintain those talons, all while sporting a nose that's still fashionable and witches weekly without looking like a flattened spear on his face he could easily pick at with his tongue, a la Stitch style. Yeah, sorry, I put that image in your head just now. As his look came together, I quickly realized that I was giving Hades the alphabet Cruella treatment. He wasn't grotesque and creepy looking anymore. Hades was looking chiseled, toned, exotic, and just, sexy? Oops. Calling all bad boy lovers, I present lot number one. One very nummy Lord of the Dead. Get him while he's hot. I mean, when you think about his original Greek origins, Hades actually wasn't depicted as monstrous looking. That was his dog Cerberus's department. So if you stop to think about it, my rendition of Hades is kind of like a Disney meets Greek sculpture hybrid. I know that was in no way driving my concept at the time I was drawing him, but I'm taking it. This piece was a nice, interesting challenge for me. Given the original reason I started this alphabet challenge was to present me with a wide range of characters to develop my digital art skills, a couple things I liked about this piece was it forced me to confront clothing folds as well as effects. I picked Hades with the challenge of painting dynamic lighting thanks to his head of fire originally, so I expected that to be a certain level of challenge. But what I totally blanked on was the fact he wears a very drapey toga. So after I had fun carving out my Hades sculpture, I had to dress him up. Again, I can't stress how much help references were in helping me draw his outfit. It came together quite nicely after I found a character design sheet of Hades that featured drawn angles of him from the back and right side, which was key considering the angle I was drawing him on, and how I needed to figure out how the main over-the-shoulder drape worked. Yeah, don't ask me what the different parts of the toga are called. I have no freaking clue. So I'll just refer to the thing that he's got clipped with a skull pin on his shoulder as his robe. Yeah, let's go with that because a quick Google search did not help me at all. I'm seeing the words toga, sash, robe, and shawls. So even costume sellers can't unanimously decide on what to call all the parts of a Greek Halloween costume. If they can't figure it out, I've got no hope in hell.
Okay, seriously, stop with the Hades puns. You're embarrassing yourself.
Okay, I'll stop, I swear. To the gods. Now the fire was a nice challenge. As you guys might remember from my 6 fan arts video the other week, I kind of half-assed my water for Korra's portrait, so I wasn't 100% happy with the end result. But for today's artwork, with it being such a statement of his character design, I wanted to be sure I did the fire justice. So I wandered over to Pinterest in search of some fire painting tutorials, and stumbled across a really nice one for Clip Studio Paint. Now, I work solely in Photoshop, so I had to use the tools that were the closest Adobe equivalent in comparison to the ones mentioned in the tutorial, but it wasn't too hard to adapt. There was a few pointers among the different tutorials I browsed through that I brought into the fire I painted, like the fact the brightest color should always be in the center of the flame. So I had to divert from Hades' look a little as he has it the other way around. I mean, I get it, his head obviously isn't hollow. They showed his hair being blown out enough times to prove that. So it makes sense there would be a darker color around where his skull would be, but I just like the more natural effect better. And it also complemented how his palm flame would appear as well. Another flame point I brought into the painting was that fire always wants to flow upwards. So despite the fact I had him blowing the flames towards the right side of the canvas, it was important that I had to do so gradually like a ramp. When it came time to lay down the rest of Hades' base of color, it was interesting to see the different variants that were used for different Hades references. Some images had his outfit looking more black overall, others were different shades of grey, some colors more brighter or saturated than the others. And then the colors of the pattern on his collar and sleeves would completely change as well. It took a little experimenting time, but I ultimately landed on a combination of colors I believed worked nicely together and wouldn't pop out or blend into the moody background he'd appear on. After all this time, I think I've developed a shadow and lighting layer system I use for rendering that I'm really happy with. Breaking down the different types into separate layers helps me make more sense of more dynamic setups like this one here. With 3 different light sources, this was always going to be an interesting one to render. There's the ambient light of the environment, the blue light from his hair, and then the light from his hand. So there was more to consider when it came to working out where the lights would fit, where would the shadows lay, how would they transition into each other, and where would each cast be at its strongest and weakest. It helped that he had such exaggerated features that would help catch the lighting in a more dynamic way, so taking my time, he gradually came together. I've got to say, by the end of it, Hades is now competing for the top spot in my alphabet so far. Gurgi is just beating him though.
The little adorable bugger.
Hopefully the letter I won't take too long to get around to. Ideally, I want to create 2 or 3 more alphabet portraits before 2020 is over. But who knows, depends how chaotic things get. I still have so many projects to get around to and to finish.
Thanks for watching everyone. If you liked this video, be sure to tap that like button, share it, or leave a comment below. If you have a couple coins to spare, please consider pledging to my Patreon, which directly funds my channel and art projects in exchange for a range of exclusive rewards. Every little bit helps, and anything is greatly appreciated. Until next time, see ya!